so I can interact. And it says we are live. Okay. Hi everybody. Ed Diaz here, and welcome to the 16th episode of Synth Talk. Synth Talk today. And today we have a special guest on all the way from the UK in parts unknown. I don't even know where he's at. It's maybe somewhere in the mountains of Switzerland or Sweden or one of those countries, because I'm an American, so I don't really know the difference. But I just know one of them has chocolate and one of them has watches and one of them has like wooden shoes, and I never know which one, and I don't want David to hit me.
Those are the main differences.
Those are the main difference. So without further ado, let's give a shout out to David Ahlund. Here's David Ahlund, everybody from Roland,
hello,
UK. So let me pop myself in the screen so I can see. Hey, so David, welcome first off to our Synth Talk. First off, this part of the show, we're just saying hello to everybody. We just kind of just check on everybody and see how everybody's doing out there. And let me see, I'm logging into this myself so I can see the chat. Currently today, unfortunately, we won't have Scott Barry on here because we're going via Skype today. And we're going to work on getting more people on Skype. But thankfully to Skype, and actually we did a test with FaceTime. We were able to do it through FaceTime. So I think this is going to be really cool for us in the future, where we can have more people online, more of our friends and brethren from all over the world. So this will be cool. And next time when we have David on back on the show, we can go a little bit further. So we are having a good time. I'm logging into the chat right now. Scott Barry is manning the chat. David, can you see the chat too?
I don't have it up right now,
okay.
But I can bring it up, obviously.
Yeah. So we're all going into there because this is the main way, and then soon we'll integrate the Google phone feature back into here. So if I can access it through the computer, then we'll be able to have you guys call in again. So let me just say, let's see, Marktronic's on there. Hey, shout out to you. I see my friend from the Northwest, Sam, out there. Wachimu Miapu. That's a crazy name. I don't even know what that means there, brother. I see Tortog Pon. He says, excellent. Scott says hello. Let's see. Christoph Jensen from, he's from South Africa. Have you ever been to South Africa, David? I haven't.
I have, actually.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a long time ago, a very long time ago. 11 years. So, yeah, 2009. Yeah, but yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would like to go down there because I would like to see the Zeph music by Die Antwoord from down there. I really like them a lot. I think they're crazy. I love that. I love their music and their videos.
Yeah, they're a very interesting, very special band. For
very
sure.
Very special band. If you guys don't know, look up Die Antwoord, and they're fun, but they are not for the faint of heart. They're crazy. They're a good time though, and also put up a good concert. In South Africa, I would like to go, but I don't think I would like to go ahead and go swimming because there's like a lot of great white sharks and stuff there, and they probably like Mexican food, which that's what I would be. But let's see. I see Tim H. Good evening, and look, Sam from Olympia. Oh, Christoph is from Germany. Oh, that's one of the other guys. He's from Germany. Sorry, Germany, South Africa, same thing. So let me see here. That's good. Oh, there's Christopher Fry. Christopher Fry is from Cape Town. Yeah, he's like, we love Mexican food. Yeah, so he's from Cape Town. There's my South African brother.
Who doesn't love Mexican food, right?
Although we always have, when I go to California from Texas, we always talk about Texas Mexican food is better than California Mexican food, and it caused a bunch of issues. Oh, shout out to Christopher. Today is also his birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Go out and have a good time. Social distance. Drink with friends online. I guess. Hey, shout out to all my
I was thinking, actually, I was going to bring out the whiskey. I was thinking of it, but then I was like, I don't know. Maybe some colleagues will be watching. It won't look too good.
Yeah,
maybe I will later.
Maybe we'll later. Yeah, some colleagues will be watching, absolutely. But and then we'll cause an international incident, and then I'll get some more papers added to my HR folder. So it's like add it to the bunch, HR. I'm sorry. So
can I just want to give a special shout out to my man Marktronics, aka Mark. How you doing, Playboy?
Oh,
because yeah, we've been he's followed me for a very, very long time, probably like 6 years or something. Yeah, it's cool to see him here. He's always here, isn't he?
That's really appreciated. Everybody to shout out. Yeah, okay, everybody raise your glass. Christopher Fry. I'm having water, but it's all good. He says that's what I'm doing, and I have whiskey. So cups up to you. The drink for you. It's not whiskey, but definitely happy birthday today, and for everybody that joins us over there. I see Robin. Robin just got his Jupiter X the other day. Great thing is that, and we will cover more Jupiter X. Jupiter X are now starting to arrive to everybody across the world, slowly but surely. We're getting there, so that's cool. Marktronics raising his ice cream bowl. You know, what kind of ice cream are you having? What kind of ice cream? Because you learn a lot about somebody by the type of ice cream they go ahead and use. You know, they have.
Yeah, what's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, I'm all over the place, but I like chocolate chip cookie dough, that stuff. But I also like the pecan praline and stuff like that. So
I see. We're in the same kind of vibe. Yeah. I like all the nuts and fudge and stuff like that.
Oh, Marktronics having cookies and cream. That's cool. Scott Berry's having
well done, Mark.
Coffee over here, there, and Robin Spears, peanut butter and chocolate is the only ice cream I eat. Oh, now there's a man that's like, that's it. That's what I eat, and that's it. So
it is a good choice to stick on, though. To be fair,
that is a good choice. Mint chip for Scott. My wife won't touch the mint. I like the mint. So that's cool. That's pretty funny for people that are like, I only do this ice cream, and that's it. And then and then always someone in your house, your spouse or friend or whatever, will bring the wrong kind, and you're like, I don't do that. Look, Chris Fry, rum and raisin. Oh, salted caramel. Oh yeah, Christoph.
Salted caramel.
Yeah, that's.
You guys say caramel, don't you?
I think it depends on what part of the state you're from. You know, I say caramel, caramel. So, and then as soon as you bring it up, I forget which way I say it, and then it. And then later on,
you think going too much, and then
yeah. I think I say caramel. Caramel, I think. I don't even remember. I don't even know now because we started talking about it. So anyway, now that we've learned what everybody's ice cream choices they like, so today we have Mr. David Ahlund on here. It's really awesome to have David on here. Oh look, Marktronic is not wasting any time. We're going to have David Ahlund, and we're going to talk about the Fantom and talk about David's music, where he came from, where does he live, kind of thing, how's he doing. But it looks like Marktronics is like, whoa, I want to talk to David and ask him some questions. Marktronics says for everybody, question to Dave, can he talk about any era implementation on the Fantom? And obviously, David will share as much as he can. Hey, Enzo, will share as much as he can, but obviously we can't share everything. But I will let you know that even through this lockdown for everybody's doing, all of the different Roland people across the world are working together to try and bring you the best musical instruments possible. So that's something that's real cool. So, David, if you want to answer Marktronics however you can, that's totally cool. He's thinking.
Yeah, so I think one of the really cool things with the Fantom is the sequencer. So one way to hook those up, obviously, is just to for instance, sequence your IRA gear with the Fantom sequencer, and you have as you all probably know, you have a plethora of assignable controllers on the Fantom. So it's really easy to assign the controllers to do whatever you want. So let's say if you have like a TB3 hooked up or a System 8 or anything, you can just control the filters on that, because you can set all those controllers to be whatever controller number you want. And also of course the sliders. So you have 3x8 knobs and 3x8 sliders, and 2 out of those 3 are assignable. But that's like plenty of control. So I think would be one very nice way of integrating those two.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Let's see. Hold on, David. I just put up a David Ahlund. Let's see. I'm bringing it up for you right here. Hold on. It's gonna be cool. Watch,
what are you doing now?
Watch this. This is gonna come up in a second. Look, just so you guys know, now it says David Ahlund right there. So you're like, who is this man talking? It's like a guy. It'll pop up in the chat in a second so you can see
Oh,
when you talk.
so I thought you were gonna show like embarrassing photos of my childhood or something.
Oh no, I don't have any of those, but I do have
Okay, good.
photos from NAMM.
Talk to my sister if you want to.
Oh yeah. So no, but I do have some great photos that I took of you at NAMM, which are really cool, and I was really happy to catch you performing. So that's cool. Let's see, any more questions real quick? Let's see. Who's Lele Martelli says, "Hello guys, can I copy a chain from a backup to the pen drive to save it to the Fantom chain?" Let's see. I want to say yeah right away. So getting right into it. Okay, so let me think about this. So let's see. Can I copy a chain from a backup? So first off, when you use a backup, you would have to go ahead and restore that backup back into that current Fantom that you were using. Therefore, anything that was on that current Fantom, when you restored it from the backup, it would be removed. Okay, and hopefully before you did a restore, you did a backup or whatever you're working on. And then to save it to the Fantom chain. Like I said, when you do a backup and you do a restore, it takes whatever's on that current Fantom and restores what was ever on the backup. So, kind of yes, kind of no. Yeah, Scott's already getting it. All right, let's talk to David. Let's find out more about David. David Ahlund, where are you from? Tell us about your musical upbringing, a little bit about where you come. Because I think I first saw you, I want to say 2008, 2009, maybe. And I was just like, who's this blonde kid? He's just killing it, you know? And I think it might have been, maybe it was one of the first V-Synths, maybe was it the GT? Maybe the GT?
Are you talking at NAMM show now?
Yeah. So where'd you come from, David?
So I'm from Sweden, originally. And I'm now in the UK since about 6 years. When it comes to music, I have a really strange musical background actually, because I grew up listening to a lot of old school hip hop. Like, well, we call it old school now, but it was just school then. Just like hip hop, all that kind of electro stuff. I used to love that. But I also loved love ballads. Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You by Glenn Medeiros. That was a song my sister taped. My sister taped a whole tape full of that song for me when I was a kid, because that's what I wanted. So I listened to like really so-called, cool music on one hand, and on the other hand, but I was a child, so, what do you expect? I listened to a lot of other stuff, but then I got gradually into like electronic music in my teens. So it was all about that for a while, like during the 90s sort of. And then in high school I went to a music high school, so I got into all kinds of stuff there, like funk and jazz, and especially Stevie Wonder. Love Stevie Wonder, and all kinds of rock stuff. And so then consequently I just ended up playing in various types of bands, doing all kinds of things, like from hip hop acts to rap metal to gospel choir. I did basically all kinds of stuff. So I'm very eclectic in my taste, essentially. That's what my point.
And that's pretty cool. A lot of us at Roland, it's pretty cool. A lot of musicians at Roland are very eclectic, because especially from everybody from all over the world takes different genres from all over the world and kind of meshes them together. And then I know at NAMM, when we can get together and hear everybody, it's always just an incredible sharing of musical ideas and forms, and it's always real neat. Like, quick story, and David's probably has a similar one. I know when I've been involved and gone to Japan and worked when we're doing a demo song, like they'll say everybody from the different countries, like the keyboard guys, for example, will do a demo song. Let's just do a sequence, right? And you can hear exactly what part of the world someone is from, usually by the sequence song that they create. And to me, it's always amazing, because it's usually using the same machine, but the machine has a totally different flavor. and that's pretty cool. Mark Tronics just commented, when I first saw Dave, he was showcasing the Era gear, or IRA, if you're from the Europe side of the world. It says it is.
Yeah, we say IRA.
It says it is because of him, David, that I bought all the IRA stuff. Dave is the beast on the IRA gear and really a beast when performing. Absolutely agree. So it is his fault. Tell your wife or loved ones that it is his fault you have no money. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Mark. Mark is crazy, man. Because I know him, right? And he buys like everything, all the Roland stuff, literally everything. He bought. I don't know. This is personal. Should I reveal personal information about him? I don't know. Can I? It's nothing serious.
Yeah, nothing serious.
But he was like, yeah. So he was like, he wanted to get a Jupiter X, right? But it wasn't available at the time. So he bought a Jupiter XM just to have while he's waiting for the X. That's a really hardcore gear fan right there.
Absolutely, and that's someone that's like, okay, this will hold me over. But the cool thing is, as hopefully you guys know, speaking of the Jupiter X and the XM and even the Fantom, that is that they can share all of the Zen Core patches that you create. So it's not a bad thing. It's cool. Wolf.
Yeah, and it's like you got like a travel version of the full size one then, so you can take the one to the picnic and to the park, or on the train or whatever.
And then Wolfcry says that NAMM 2017 song David did with Michael Shack, another freaking nut, still resonate in my head. That awesome it is. So whatever you did in 2017 with Michael Shack, and the cool thing for you guys that don't know, Mr. Michael Shack, Michael's Belgium. Is that where he's from? Belgium?
Yeah, he's Belgian.
Yeah, Belgian. And so you look up them, Michael Shack, and of course David Ahlund, and Vtopia. I think is that what you guys normally?
Yeah. Yeah, V-Topia. Yeah.
V-Topia. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, do yourself a favor. Go on YouTube, look up Vtopia, and have it run through your studio monitors, and just sit back and just watch in awe, because it's really not only enjoyable to listen to, but it's also enjoyable to watch, because both of these guys just really just throw it out there. And, part of what we do musically, all of us as musicians, not only should you play the music well, but you should also perform it. Okay, perform it, because our job as musicians.
Well, thank you. Well, I think it's because first of all, me and Michael have very, very similar taste in music. And across the board, like I said, I'm very eclectic, and so is he. And we both like, funk and metal and electronic stuff, and we love all that stuff. So we try to mix it up as much as possible. And because our taste is so similar, we also get along very well musically. And that makes, that just results in us really enjoying ourselves on stage.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what we want to do.
By the way,
go ahead.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Wolfcry here said, all I see. Yeah, because I saw his earlier comment, and I was like, what song is he referring to? Because I wasn't sure, but now I got it. Yeah, there's a 360 video we made with that song, actually. If you look, I don't know, Wolfcry, if you've seen it, but we have a properly recorded version of that in actually Peter Gabriel's studio, by the way, Real World Studios here in not here in London, but here in the UK, in Bath. So it's like a 360 video, so you can just check out the different angles on your iPhone or whatever. So all I see, Vtopia, yeah.
So you guys definitely check them both out. Definitely, these guys will just rock it out. And I see Christopher Fry. He has another someone that has a gear issue with Fantom X8, DJ 505. Oh, he put TR8S, FA06, Studio Capture, and the Fantom 8. So, congrats to you. That's really awesome.
Good stuff.
Mia Po. Sorry that it's taking your Jupiter X, and unfortunately the store that you bought it from it's taken out to the middle of May, but just keep in mind everybody's trying to get out the gear to everybody, and then don't forget we do have, if you go to YouTube, Roland Product Support, which I know most of you on here already know about, you can go ahead and look up videos, and I just released 2 videos today for Roland Product Support on the Jupiter X. And right now, the Jupiter X, the videos we're producing are a lot of the videos just to kind of get you going, just stuff for housekeeping, kind of get you go that. Scott Berry, he stole his Jupiter X from NAMM. Okay, we heard it first, a confession from Scott Berry. He stole his from NAMM. So it's stole, which means, hey, boss, can I take this one before it ends up in a pallet back in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they put all the Ark of the Covenant back in a warehouse? Can I put it in it? So he got it before it was taken away.
Yeah, for service department.
For service, yeah. We've all been there working on gear, and it's not available. It's a prototype, and you're like, "Can I take it now?" And they're like, "No, you can't take it. You can't take it." But every now and then, we steal. we borrow, approved borrow. Let's see. Info. They put. Is there a webinar for all Roland Workstation? Noted this topic is regarding the Fantom. Actually, I don't know if there is a necessarily webinar for the Fantom per se, but if you go to Roland Product Support and you look up the Fantom in the playlist, we have 29 videos, and we're going to be producing more. On this channel, Synth Talk, we cover the Fantom quite a bit and all the newer keyboards. David, do you have any webinars available that you're aware of?
Not from the top of my head, actually. Not sure about that one.
And then also to do a webinar for the Roland Fantom, and as David and all of us guys, and even all of you guys are digging in so deep, it would actually, David, it would probably be like a 12-hour webinar. It would be like. It would be a long webinar, because as you've seen what we've done in this show, when we just talk about the sequencer, that can be one couple of hours of talking about how to do the sequencer. And then if I get David or Scott Berry or some of the other guys involved, everybody has a little bit different twist of how they do things and how they create. And then when we talk about, we were just doing a thing here on the drums, how to program drums, and we showed one way, but then David might have it. So I think the best thing is to either watch the videos on Product Support or watch the different episodes here, where you can just pick and choose in there, because the Fantom is not something you can learn over an hour or 2 hours. It's definitely something you have to eat in small chunks and then digest and then just kind of think about it. But if you spend that time, you're gonna get a lot out of it. So that's something that's cool.
Yeah, you can dive really deep with it. It's also with sound design, which something I really enjoyed doing, and it's like those sound design capabilities that are in there, if you dive really deep, and all the different parameters that are available is pretty deep, and yeah, you can do some really complicated stuff with it.
Oh, cool. And then Machi Wu Miapu. Hey, I think I said it right. Machi Wu Miapu just put that if it helps, Machi is my wife's name. Wu is just love talk. Oh, Machi Wu. Okay. Mia is my daughter's name. Poo is for all of those diapers I had to change. You can call me Sam. I know you, Sam. We met. Sam bought a System 8, I think, from me when I was visiting the Northwest. He came up to watch a clinic I was doing. So yeah, now that helps.
System 8, you said.
Yeah,
that's a great choice. Yeah, I love that. That's actually in my home studio here. That is my kind of centerpiece right now, the System 8, and it's been for quite a while as well.
Yeah, and then
really love that.
Actually, you just did a video the other day, David, of you performing, I think, with the System 8.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, because I was watching you, and then I see the Fantom. I think it was either on the stand or on the wall, and you're rocking out the system. You're rocking out,
leaning against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's just so funny, and it's, I know it's hard for all of us to like, oh, which killer keyboard am I going to use today? Which one? So I know all of us are like all of our studios are like a big candy store, and then also with many of the Roland guys, and I probably with a lot of different product specialists, you learn each of the synthesizers or products so deep that you could just grab one and just blow through it, like really killer. So it's kind of fun. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Enzo says, are any of the new Jupiter X videos useful for XM users, or is it best to stick to the XM series vids? Good question. I think all the videos you can watch on the Jupiter XM and the Jupiter X are helpful because those two really intermingle quite a bit. And then you never know. You might pick. David might do a video on the Jupiter XM and say something, and then you're like, "Oh, the Jupiter X also does it, maybe in a different way that I didn't think of." You know, so watching all of that stuff, especially right now. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically inside. They're basically the same thing. So it's like the Jupiter X has slightly more accessibility because you have more direct knobs and things like that. But inside, it's actually exactly the same.
Yeah. So bottom line, watch all the content you can. Take what you can you need, and I know that's what a lot of us do. We just take in, and then just use it to it. Oh, here's a good question. I'll let you answer this one, David. Pretty easy. Eduardo as hello. Is there any difference in sounds between the Fantom and the FA?
The Fantom and the yes, definitely. Yeah. Because the new Fantom series have the Zencore engine, so it's a completely new sound engine, so a whole different level of sound. Although you will find some of the, how should I say, like classic Fantom / FA sounds in there as well, but obviously the root sound engine is completely different. So yeah, it's a whole different character. Plus, it also comes with the V piano as well.
Yes.
The Fantom, the V piano engine. So and new effects and things like that. So definitely big differences in sound, I would say.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then the FA, which is great. I love the FA. I have a FA 76 that I'll sometimes take on gigs. But the FA has 2 virtual expansion board slots, where the Fantom has 16 virtual expansion board slots, able to load up 15 of the EXZ virtual expansion boards. And then you can access all of those sounds at any time, be it in the tones on top or even when you're creating sounds to pull waveforms. So definitely a huge difference there as far as just talking sounds. And like I said, I still love the FA, but we're talking FA, which is a great budget-minded kind of workstation, but then you have a flagship of a Fantom, which really like blows the doors off, and that's kind of what we expect. Like I know David and I and a lot of the guys, we could kill using an FA if we have to. It's not a problem. But then if I have my choice, I'll take the bigger board out. Okay, and I love. Here's one thing I love about this, David, is that you see all the chat and everybody interacting. I love this about our community. Alan says, hello from Dothan, Alabama. Hey, Alan, hope you're doing safe over there. Tom, or Thom, I always joke. Tom says, hi from London, guys. Finally made a live show. Well, welcome, Tom. Hopefully it's not too late there. Make sure you grab a pint of whatever you want, be it water or another adult beverage. It's all good. Oh, that's a good one. David, what is your YouTube channel? Do you have a YouTube channel that we can promote for you?
I actually don't have I technically do, but I don't have any YouTube content that I've put there. Like most of the stuff I've done has been official Roland videos and stuff like that. So I have a YouTube account, but I only use it mainly to like log into YouTube and and maybe write comments on your chat, for instance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can, I'll put a hello here. Then you can see my that's technically my YouTube channel, but I don't have much on there.
Yeah.
So I have an Instagram. You can check that out, which is just my name, with no dots or dashes or anything. And obviously, as you can see, my name has that weird little thing above the A, which is a Swedish O, as we call it.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask you. I'm like, what?
But I just spell it with an A.
Okay, that's cool. So maybe we should encourage David to like put some content. Well, you did put up content. I think, where was that? Was it on Instagram or with you playing the System 8? Throw that up on YouTube, David.
Yeah, that was on my Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, love, because I know everybody loves any kind of content like that you're putting out, and that's just totally awesome. You got a lot of fans out there as well, so that's good. Let's see. I see some more. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Some good stuff. Sandro. Okay. Okay, Sandro asked, on my Phantom, when I change the V piano, the sound cuts off, cut it out. Why? What am I doing wrong? Well, I'll answer this one, and David can interject. But currently, right now, the V piano is only able to be used on zone 1. So that's where the V piano lives, because it is a completely different sound engine than the Zencore engine. It's a completely different sound engine, and so on the Phantom, the V piano only lives on zone 1. However, all the other zones can use Zencore and also Supernatural pianos that are on there. We have Supernatural pianos now, don't we? I think so. If we don't, they're coming soon. So I might have oopsied.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm saying too much as well.
No, yes. Oops. But here's the cool thing, everybody. The Phantom is growing. We know stuff that's coming, and it's very exciting. And we're not going to share anything with you as far as what's coming. But as soon as the mothership announces stuff, we will all be screaming from the rooftops like, "Yay! Here's this and this and this and this," and we'll definitely share with you at that time. So don't bribe us. Don't do that. So, although if you want to bribe David, send him a case of Nutella. Just FYI, Nutella. It's just for David. Just send that, and he'll be happy. And you can send me a
who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming, and like I said in the beginning of this episode, all the Roland peeps from all over the world, programmers and engineers and everybody is still working, and we work a lot through this kind of medium, and that's cool. David, my wife says hello from downstairs. David, she's downstairs. Good to virtually see you, my wife. So I will tell her to make us.
Who said that?
My wife. She's downstairs. She said hello from downstairs.
Your wife. I thought you were reading. You were reading the chat.
No, it's on the chat. She's on the chat. She said Suzanne. Suzanne, bring me a virtual sandwich from downstairs. No, I'm just joking. So. Yeah, she goes through a lot. She's like, let's see. Christoph forgot. He also got a JDXA. You have too many keyboards when you forget which keyboards. So, no, you can never have too many keyboards. I see Michael Ballard from Nashville. Hello, Nashville. Hope you guys are doing great in Nashville. Let's see. And David said hello. So go ahead and click on his YouTube channel and subscribe, and so that way, if and when David makes some content for YouTube, you can catch it, because it's always good music. Okay, Tom Roland says, read DAW control. Is it not possible to have the DAW control profile in use and to also send program changes to MainStage? Your tutorial on program change was game changer. Can you do both? Thanks. And he put a beer icon on there. Which I appreciate, the beer icon. That's a nice thought. Yesterday on the show, we showed how to send patch changes, and I know David's probably done this before too on different Phantoms, different Rolands, but using Logic, where you can have Logics go ahead and change patches. So yesterday and the show yesterday, we had Logic change scenes for us using MIDI channel 16. So we got that set up. I haven't revisited MainStage yet to get that, but we did do it yesterday in Logic, and I didn't do anything different. David, have you tried sending patch changes, be it through Logic, MainStage, or I know you use Ableton Live quite a bit as well? Any success with that?
Yeah, no, not with the Phantom, actually. I haven't really used the Phantom that way, but I can't see why, because if you can do it with MainStage, surely you can do it with Logic, because it's basically the same inside, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technically.
So, yeah, we were having trouble on one of the episodes which we got Logic and MainStage, the profiles all working, but we were trying to send program changes from MainStage to the Phantom, and it's probably user error on my part. Sometimes, as you guys know, sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out the correct path to kind of program some of these things, especially when working over USB. We'll still work on that. Since we got it working on Logic, maybe we can get it working on
so it was the other way around. Sorry,
yeah.
I thought you were saying it. worked on main stage, but not on Logic.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
We got it working on Logic. So from Logic to the Fantom to change scenes. But when we initially tried it from main stage to the Fantom, it wasn't doing it. So we could change in a main stage concert, we could change a patch in main stage, and it would send those program changes to the Fantom. So hold tight with us on that, Tom. I think we're gonna have to revisit that because we got it working on Logic, and so when we get it working on one thing, it kind of gives you like hope, like okay, maybe it's something I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean that just means it actually responds to program changes. So there's no reason why it shouldn't do that in other software as well.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that some more. Don't worry. But and then also we are gonna expand. Us here, not necessarily Roland per se yet, but working with Ableton Live and showing how to have Ableton Live doing that. I'm trying to get. I got to try and get Houston Singletary from Ableton on here, and very good chance that he'll come on here and we can talk about Ableton deeply with him. Okay, let's do some more. And man, we're just doing a whole bunch of stuff. Oh,
yeah, it's a lot going on in the chat today.
It's very, yeah. I got the Fantoms ready, and we're ready to talk about stuff. But hey, if you guys want to talk about this, Douglas Carmichael said, Ed, let's say you were putting together a touring programming suite. Would you use Fantom 6 or a Jupiter X? I would use both. I would actually. It depends on the tour. Right, David?
I'm sorry, Ed. My connection dropped for a bit.
Okay, somebody was trying to call me, so I like declined. So let's see, what is this? Close. All right. So the question was, when you're designing a touring programming rig, a suite, would you use a Fantom 6 or a Jupiter X? And what are your thoughts, David? First, and then I'll say my thoughts on that.
When you're using when you're programming, what did you say? Sorry, it was a bit unclear.
Yeah, he says a touring programming suite. It's like Douglas. If you're talking about what computer would I use, but I always think in rigs as far as what keyboard gear I would take out. I guess that's what he's asking. What would you take on tour? And why, basically, I think.
Yeah, I think, because of the many user memories and also the very visual interface on the Fantom, I would probably, if it was just like hypothetically not for a specific gig or for a specific purpose, just like I'm gonna go out and do gigs, then I would probably say Fantom.
Yeah.
Because it's, they're both very, very versatile sound-wise. But I would say the Fantom is more set up for that kind of situation. Obviously, you can do it. You can do it with a Jupiter as well. But yeah, with the visual interface, I think, and the programmable set list features or chain.
Yeah.
I think I would say the Fantom might be slightly more appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my take on that. Ultimately, if I was doing a touring, it would ultimately, am I doing my tour or am I with an artist? Because then the artist and whoever's the MD would determine, one, what software I'd be using, because maybe the artist prefers to work in Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton or even Fruity Loops. I've seen some artists. So it depends on the artist. But then also, depending on that artist, what kind of sounds are we trying to recreate on the album? Would the sounds be from a particular keyboard? Because sometimes artists say, I need you to use this keyboard. Or would it be something I could load up from VSTs? Or could I choose? And as long as I could recreate those sounds, that's what it would be. And so for me, Fantom would probably be my hub, my main one. But then depending on, I like a lot of Hammond type of organ, like an organ. So I might take a VK or a VR 730. I would like to take a Jupiter X because a Fantom and a Jupiter X, and I prefer 7s, Fantom 7 for me, and a Jupiter X. They just look cool. That's going to probably be my new local rig when I go out and gig. So there's a lot to determine on there.
I totally agree with you, Ed. Like when I was at NAMM, last NAMM, that was my setup. Fantom and Jupiter, and that's like with these two, it's like I can do anything.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's a very tough question, and it's a very personal, professional question. It depends on who you're working for, on the artist. Next question: Jupiter XM, is it a replacement for the Jupiter 50 and the 80? What are your thoughts, David?
I would say no.
Yeah.
It's my very, very short answer. The long answer would be, again, it's a completely different sound engine.
Yes.
And I would say, actually, they might, obviously they have the same series name and the same vibe kind of on the outside, but inside it's just a completely different beast. And also the Jupiters are very much designed, the Jupiter 50 and 80 are very much designed for very massive big layers and stuff like that, where also apart from the different sound engine, I would say, the Jupiter X series is more about real-time control, where you have loads of knobs and just direct control to all kinds of parameters. And again, the sound engine is completely different. So, so all in all, I would say they're very, very different from each other, actually.
They're completely, and the Jupiter 80, let's just say the Jupiter 80, okay, versus the Jupiter X, not talk about the 50 or the XM. But Dave is absolutely correct. The engines are completely different on there. The Jupiter 80 was a completely supernatural engine, completely supernatural. So at that time, Roland, and how old is the Jupiter 80? I think it's about 8 years old, I think, maybe, from that technology.
I think it's more. Maybe 2010 something.
Yeah. So let's say we're looking about 2010. So we're talking 10 years difference between the development and release of those two major products. And so Roland has definitely grown more with the modeling, because even at that time we didn't have the IRA stuff, and or it was being worked on. So it's a totally different engine. I know I own a Jupiter 80, and I don't put the Jupiter 80 versus the Jupiter X. It's got each keyboard, and this is in general, each keyboard has their pluses and minuses depending on what you're trying to do. And what I always tell people when they're asking, which is the best one, I always ask them, well, what are you trying to do? What are your sounds that are you looking to recreate? So let's say like the good old Gaia, the SH01. I love the Gaia.
I love the Gaia.
Yeah.
It has one of the favorite user interfaces for sure.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's not expensive. It's relatively small. And I had people in when the Gaia was, and the Gaia is still for sale, by the way. If you want to buy it, go to your local retail. No, it's still for sale. But and the Gaia, if you go say, David, can you go ahead and bring up the best piano you can on the Gaia? David's going to laugh at me and go, what is wrong with you? That's not what it's for. So because it's a synthesizer. It's a straight up synthesizer, okay? So it just depends what you want to do. So Jupiter 80, in my opinion, it has some strings in there that'll make your mom cry. They're just so beautiful. But and then also it can be rough, but the Jupiter X is such a pleasure to go and go through all those knobs and sliders right on top. Jupiter 80, a little more digging. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, you know what I loved about the 50 and 80s is that the tone blender feature.
Oh yeah.
It's really massive. It's like, for those who don't know, the tone blender is a feature on there that allows you to control. It's 48, I think, different parameters at the same time with one single controller. And then you can assign that controller to be like your expression pedal, for instance. And you can set each value for each controller as well. So you can say, like, when this pedal is at the bottom, then the filter will go up this much and the pitch will go down this much.
Yeah.
The fine tune of tone number 3 will go up and down, and so you can create very, very specific changes in the sound with that one single controller, which is really, really cool.
It's like a massive matrix controller. It's like a massive, it's like, whoa. So it's cool. All right, shout out to Tom. Thank you for the nice comments about the Synth Talk. We appreciate that. Let's see. Arbuz Pro he's asked, is the FA06 still worth it? And that's completely up to you. You know, it's dependent on your price point, depending on what you want to do. But the FA, I'll probably keep an FA. I'll probably purchase my FA07. I enjoy it. I enjoy the weight of it. And not every gig, and I know, because one thing I admire about David and all of our friends in Europe, not now, but generally, they got to. It's so cool to hear David like, "Hey, David, where are you gigging next?" Well, I got to go to Spain, and then I got to go to Paris for this thing, and I got to just run around, and it's really cool, So I know on what gear he chooses. It can depend on travel. So, bottom line, I love the FA for the weight. I love the ease of the programming. I can still use it as an audio MIDI interface. The 2 expansion boards. So in short answer, yeah, it's still worth it. It's totally still worth it.
I was really blown away when the FA series came out, because like you said, it was the size, I'm talking about obviously like the 6 and the 7 in that case.
Yeah.
And the price, I think, was like the FA06 is like, you got this neat little 61 key keyboard, and you got like a massively powerful workstation inside it and an amazing sound engine. So it's like, workstation keyboards are normally really massive and heavy, and this is like really neat. And like you're saying, if you're traveling, you're going to different gigs, that is a perfect function gig type keyboard.
Yeah.
Among other things, obviously, and you got really deep level sound design on it as well. And and also the low price range. So I think that's like it's like a workstation for everybody and any time, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still worth it. It's still worth it. Bottom line, I love it. And the price point for the Fantom versus Fantom 7 versus FA07, it's quite a bit, but it just depends where you are. You know what I mean? It depends where you are. All right, cool. So let me see where else. That was a good question. Also, let's see. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, the FA is great. Let's see, cool. Thanks, Scott. Scott is killing some stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He's Arba says, okay, I will buy my FA for my birthday. Awesome. Happy birthday. You're going to love it. And if you go to YouTube, Roland Product Support, we have 64 videos to teach you how to use your FA. 64. So happy birthday. Slowly go through the videos, and you could be a product guy like us and be a big nerd and just really kill it. Just have a great time in there. So take your time on there. Oh, yeah. Look, Scott, I already get it. No, it's not 62 videos. It's 64. Scott. No. So... Oh, let me see. Marktronics, I don't know if Dave can show this. Can you ask Dave to show his 808 whiskey bottle? Does he still have that? I don't know. I
do.
Oh,
I do. Give me a second.
Oh, look out, David. Don't get yourself in trouble. But yeah, that's so awesome. Let's see what he has. Just shout out while David's doing that. Oh, look, here it comes. Oh.
This is a very exclusive whiskey called 808 whiskey. I don't remember how it's called. The 808 Drinks Company, conveniently.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a very the guy who makes these is a massive Roland fan, and so he did take the name from or inspired. The name was inspired by Roland, basically. So it's 808 whiskey by. So it's Scottish, and yeah, by 808 Drinks Company. I wish my manager Jamie was here, because he knows this guy actually, and he knows a lot about the whole story and everything. I don't know as much, I'm afraid. So
hey, maybe.
Sorry, Jamie, if you're watching.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Jamie on here one day. That'd be kind of funny, because doesn't Jamie deal with a lot of artists? That'd be cool on there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. Cool. Thanks. Follow up then. Thoughts on using Logic in live setting versus using main. Oh, well. Tom was just asking. Cool. Thanks. Follow up then. Thoughts on using Logic in a live setting versus using main stage. Once again, that's personal. That's a personal setting for everybody, whether you want to use Logic or main stage. I know, David. I've seen you use Ableton Live a lot for live.
Yeah. So for live. I mean, I don't do keyboard player gigs live with any computer software.
Yeah,
I use the keyboards just raw. And And which is why I was talking about earlier, like I think having the Phantom and the Jupiter on top of each other, that's the ultimate kind of arsenal as far as I'm concerned, because you can do anything with that. But that being said, like I use Ableton Live when I'm doing kind of live jams, but that's not like a keyboard player rig. That's more of a, mixing beats and recording stuff quickly and jumping around between scenes and stuff. So it's a whole different purpose for me.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah.
So David, so when he playing regular keyboard player gigs, he's going straight up, and I do that too a lot when I'm just playing with the band and I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just use the keyboards in their native format, just keyboards already set up, and I already have a group of sounds that I tend to lean on, so that's what I use. Now I have used I've seen a lot of church players will use Mainstage Live in a church setting, so that way they can go ahead and use software synthesizers and the Phantom or RD2000, because it does it as well in that situation. That would be fine. I've seen that. I actually saw Depeche Mode a couple of years ago, David. They were using Mainstage for pretty much all of their effects, and I know Nine Inch Nails, I think within the last couple of years on their tour, they were using completely Mainstage also for their tour, which is really amazing, But then also I've seen other artists. I think John Legend's MD, Eugene Man Roberts, he'll use Logic in a live situation, and I think they go ahead and have markers for within the Logic project, and it'll jump around for the different backing tracks that they might need. So it's totally a personal thing. Bottom line, whatever you can work with easily to accomplish your musical goal, to where everybody has a good time and you can do it, that's the one you use. I'm like David. Personally, I just like to go with the keyboards and just let's just go, and that's cool. All right, let me see here. Let's see. Yeah,
I actually have a friend who's two friends. They have a project called Leon, which means lion in Swedish. Actually, they're not Swedish; they're English. But they're doing these really intricate setups with loads of hardware, and they're using analog synths and drum machines and all this stuff, and they're using backing tracks. And actually, they have used an FA. I think it's an FA08. And that's like the brain for the whole thing. And it does the patch changes and like all kinds of crazy stuff on all this hardware. So they just hit play on that, and it just runs through the whole system and changes the patches on the right keyboards, and sometimes even like filters and stuff. And they automated everything with an FA08, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, because
it works really well too.
A lot of people don't realize that the FA is also a master keyboard and can control entire rigs. The FA is very strong, and you could put patch changes within the sequencer and all this stuff. So FA, even though it might be, let's say, budget minded, let's just say, definitely not cheap, but it's definitely will help you get in there. It does a lot. If you dig under that hood, it does a lot in there. So that's totally cool. Let's see. Christoph says, not able to get the sampler on dedicated channels. Respond back, Christoph. I'm not exactly sure what you mean, that dedicated channels, be it dedicated zones or dedicated outputs. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I appreciate you, Tom. Let's see. Look at Scott Barry. He's over there just fighting it out in the chats. He's manning it up. So that's cool. Robin Spears says, Ed Diaz, take pics of your rig at your next gig. I do put them on Instagram a lot of times, and my rig changes. For one gig, I took a FA07 and what did I take with me? Mainstage and a JDXI, just because I just felt like doing it. And the JDXI is a little beast too. And then another gig, my usual gig is I'll take some kind of Phantom, and it's usually a Phantom, an organ, and a synth. That's usually my main rig, and it usually changes. So on the last couple of gigs, I took a Fantom, this newest Fantom, just because I like taking our keyboards out and just like, all right, let's take you out to a gig, right, David? Take them out to a gig and let's put them to the test and just kind of have fun. So I took a Fantom, and then I took a VK8 because I just love the VK8, the old Rogue. I just love organ stuff. And then I always take with me the V-Synth GT. The V-Synth GT is just like
that's a beast. That's an absolute beast.
That's a beast. The V-Synth GT, I lovingly call that that is my what the hell was that synth? Because when people hear it, they always come up to me and they're like, what the hell was that? And I was like, oh, it's a V-Synth. So
I have my what the hell was that synth, which is definitely the SC02.
Yes.
So it's like, because I work at Metropolis Studios, where we have, because I'm in the artist relations team, and we have loads of different artists over, and I show them around the gear and stuff, and we have an SCO2 there. So they might come there for a specific reason. They want to try the new Fantom or the new this and that, and I just incidentally happen to show them some other stuff, and then I like walk past the SCO2 and I press literally a single note. And it could be something super simple. It could be like a sawtooth just going, and they just go, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I need to hear more of that immediately. Because the SCO2 just has that body, which just like, you can play a super simple sound, like a single key, and it just hits you in the face.
Yeah. And there's no better comment from the honest, what the hell was that? that's like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that? And especially like you said, David, you're using SEO2, so it's not layered and split with all this other stuff. It's just like just like boom, here it is, and it's just like whoa. So absolutely, that's awesome. Let's see. Let's go back. This is. I'm loving all this discussion, and once again, let me thank David for being here. It's just really great to hang with my bro, because usually at the NAMM show,
I didn't get the chance to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave.
So I really wanted to say this actually. Thank you so much for having me, because I'm really excited to be on your podcast, or do you call it a podcast? Or
I don't know, just on the channel.
Live stream.
Yeah, on the live stream. Just on the show, just kind of having fun.
Yeah, so it's because your channel is like legendary, so it's really cool. So sorry, Scott, I'm really sorry you couldn't be here because we still miss you. But next time we'll make it work, right?
Yeah, next time we'll definitely make it work, because all of us are now learning about streaming and about having multiple camera setups. So as we go on, I think a lot of us are going to get better and better about doing this, and so you'll see even better content from David and from Scott and from guys at their own studios. So it's really it's a sad time for many of us, unfortunately, but it's a exciting time in the sense like, okay, we need to overcome and kind of learn some more. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to here. Let's see. I'm looking. I gotta say it again. I just love all everybody helping everybody. Wolf Cry, thank you. He says, I love this content. We love that you love it. Cool. That's awesome. Let's see. I'm just looking. Oh, Scott Berry with the assist. Jupiter 80 was 2011. I remember that. Cool. Alan Percy said, Ed, FYI, my rep Joey Arata, shout out to Joey, told me about these YouTube live videos. Fantastic. It sure beats watching product seminars on trumpet and flutes, etc. Yeah, that's funny. I also play trumpet. It's in the back right there, so we can bring some trumpet and stuff. But yeah, Alex, welcome to the channel, and welcome to hanging out with us here on Synth Talk, episode 16 with special guest David Ahlund. Oh, got to do with David Ahlund. All right, cool. So that's cool. Let's see. Sandro says the synth brass on the new Jupiter X sounds awesome. We love to hear that. Let's talk about sound design a little bit. David, are there any particular sounds on the Jupiter X or on the Fantom that you did you exclusively did or you worked on? Because it's always nice to hear that.
Yeah, I did an expansion for the Fantom, which I'm not sure if it's out yet or not.
Okay.
But it's just an expansion, so hopefully it's not that much of a secret.
Yeah. So that's cool.
So it's gonna be a lo-fi beats expansion, or lo-fi, something with lo-fi.
Okay.
See, I don't even know my own products. Great that I made.
He doesn't even know.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I think it's just amazing. People don't understand that. So you get like regular keyboard guys. You have David or myself or Scott or a bunch of guys and like, hey, design these sounds. And David, when you were asked to design sounds, are you told to, hey, David, come up with some lo-fi or just David, come up with some sounds with tones? What's
Generally they don't tell me, they don't give me directions, so they just tell me, we want some sounds from you, and then I make them. And just generally I do something that I enjoy doing, but also something that I feel is hopefully something that will be useful to other people at the time. So I try to find like a little balance there. But sometimes they will ask me for something specific. In this lo-fi instance, they didn't. So that was just my idea, basically, because it's something that's obviously very popular right now. A lot of people do it, and it's something I'm a massive fan of myself as well. So in that case, it was just my idea to do that, and also because I found some really cool ways of coming up with suitable sounds on the Fantom, because it has these cool effects that are really useful for that type of thing, like lo-fi compressor. That one is really cool. It's got DJ effects looper, which I really, really love, especially because of the different controller assignments you can make, right? So you can say, let's say you have the pitch wheel or modulation wheel, you can set that one to activate the DJ effects looper, and then when you release it, it stops the looper. Cool. So then you can make the sound like you just play a lead, and then suddenly you just get stuck on a note, and it kind of like does almost like a tape loop type thing until you release the modulation wheel again. So that kind of stuff is really, really cool, I think. I like that kind of control over the sound, so you can assign different controls to different parameters, and especially if you kind of step outside the normal box and just go, instead of just doing the normal, let's say modulation wheel, instead of just doing the normal vibrato, you can just do like increase the drive on the distortion and the filter at the same time, or something like that. So really weird stuff happens when you turn the modulation wheel, for instance. So. Oh, man. That's something I really like.
I think, David, we need to talk to Jamie or whoever and get you budgeted for a second camera and one of the VR streamers. So that way we can see, you can talk about this and we can see your keyboard overhead, because it's really cool. One thing I've always admired about David is like what he just talked about, how he can make the mod and pitch bend do one thing and weird things, and then Aftertouch is doing something else, and it's just like, and then when you're watching and you don't know what he's doing, you're like, what is he doing? How is he making this wow, all this stuff going, all these things? And I haven't seen him take his hands off the keyboard. How is this keyboard reacting to that? So I would love to see that in the future. Let's tell them that you need 2 or 3 cameras so we can set kind of a similar setup, because I would love to learn that myself. Mark, trying to
we'll definitely keep that in mind. We've already discussed doing that, actually.
Yeah.
For me to have a little setup here. So, but yeah, it's really a lot of fun to go that into depth of the real-time control, matrix control type stuff, because there's so much you can do apart from the conventional stuff. Like if you just dig into the different assignments you can make, and the fact that you can assign a whole bunch of, I think it's up to four different parameters per controller.
Yeah.
You can say, like, when I turn the pitch wheel, it will pitch, but it will also do like 3 other things in different directions at the same time.
So let me show everybody what David's talking about real quick, and let me change screens for you, David. And here we go. And let me see, so David can see. All right. So and we'll go a little bit into this. David, is there a particular sound? Let's say you just kind of start with just. Should we use come kind of synth lead or anything in particular?
It depends on what we're doing. So if you want to do like
something simple, for now, just to kind of show.
Maybe pads are good for, like, if you have like one of those soft warm pad type things. Those are really nice. Yeah, like that one, or those are really nice for doing like obvious like filter sweeps and stuff, for instance.
Okay, cool. So I just chose the shine pad, just a nice. And then, so you're using that one just to get you going. And then, so obviously we would probably go into the menu and we would go into the tone edit, correct?
Yeah.
Tone edit. And we're going to go ahead and scroll down. And what David is talking about is down here at the bottom depths of the tone edit. Is really cool section. And I'm passing a bunch of stuff here that we can totally go through, and we have. Here it is in this section, this matrix control. Matrix control section.
That's where the magic happens.
That a lot of cool magic happens. Look, David's usually like, oh, I need to go to my Fantom. So, is there?
Yeah, itching out. Yeah,
it's just itching. Is there something that we can do that's something we can hear very fast?
Okay, yeah. So if you go to like any number, matrix control 1 or something, and then you can go and just set the let's say the filter depth, for instance. That's like a very easy and obvious one.
So that would be the destination 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Destination 1. So okay, we're gonna go into down in here. We have the cutoff. We have the resonance. Let's see. Let me use the knob.
Yeah, so if you just go cutoff and then set a range for that one, for instance.
Okay, so we're gonna say okay, and then right, we would go to sensitivity, I think, right there.
Yeah. So just crank that one up.
Okay, cool. Crank it, and then the source. So this is what would control that to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're already on the right. Well, you're on the one I was thinking of, because system controller 1, right? So
okay.
That's the modulation wheel.
Okay. So so you're telling me, so if I hold down something, if I use the modulation wheel, I can already hear it. So I'm going to flip to that part so you can see everybody. So we have the top of the Fantom, and that system control 1 is now going to react to this wheel. So we can have it going. Pretty quick and pretty easy, David. That was awesome. So, and then obviously look how hot this is. Can we put the sensitivity to 63? But that's pretty cool, David. Right away.
Yeah. So it's like stuff like that. You can and obviously you can set, as you can probably see, I think in that screen, you can see that you can control 4 separate parameters.
Wait a minute.
Need to maybe go into Pro.
Wait a minute, David. Are you telling me, David, sorry to cut you off, like the filter, but are you telling me that wheel, I can have 4 different things going if I just move the wheel? I can have 4 different destinations. Wow, check that out, everybody. So we could have, and so destination 2, and then David's looking. While David's looking, I'll pop open destination 2. And what if we did pitch? A little bit of pitch, because that way we can totally hear it. See, David's thinking. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna flip to me. So
exactly.
So
exactly. So you can you have 4.
Yeah, so think about what David is saying. This is pretty cool for all of you that we're talking about matrix control. Within this matrix control, the system control 1, which happens to be the wheel number 2, just by adjusting that, you can have up to 4 different destinations. So we did already cut off, and we adjust the sensitivity of that. Destination 2, if you want, it's highlighted. And just so we can hear it, we might put it for pitch. And then the sensitivity, how much pitch? Oops, wrong one. We'll go back. Slow down, Ed. Go down. At pitch, how much pitch do you want to hear? And we can adjust a little bit. So let's take a quick, let's see what that does. And that's the great thing about this. We can always try stuff. Bring David back in. So now the wheel is going to do cutoff and now pitch, and I did it at a +6. Oh, but I only did it on 1 partial, so it's only affecting 1 partial. So let me turn off the other.
Yes,
Go ahead, David.
I was actually about to say that. So if you go into Pro mode, Zoom, is it? No, it's Pro. Yeah. So then you can see the separate values for each partial.
Okay, so
then it becomes even more advanced, because then you can set totally different ranges for each partial.
So let's take a look at pro mode. And this, and you know what David's talking about here is not something like, hey, 5 minutes. This is a really personal. Look at this. So this is just matrix control 1. This is one of them. One of what, David? 4? One of 4. And,
yeah, I believe it's 4.
Yeah. And so each matrix control can do 4. So okay, so we set for that source 1. It's set up for cutoff. Partial number 2 is also set to system control 1, and we can do that one to pitch in here.
Yeah. So note what you just said, which is really cool as well. So not only you don't even have to control the same parameter on all 4 partials. You can actually set them to completely different destinations per partial. And so that gives you a really ridiculous amount of real-time control at the same time.
Yeah, and so let's see, we got source, and we tell it wait a minute. So wait a minute, David. So let's turn off these guys for a second. Okay, let's just work with one partial. Okay, so I got one partial. I'm editing one part that's on. So system control, there we go, can do cutoff here. Destination 2 can be pitched there. Destination 3 can be maybe a chorus if I wanted to. And like I said, we're just throwing stuff in there. So I can have it do all these things. And I just turned on one partial of the sound. And we can have it, and I'll adjust that sensitivity a little, just. And look what I'm using, everybody. This is really neat. I'm so glad to have David on here. No, because it's just fun. It's just fun. So right now I'm adjusting cutoff, which David did, and then pitch simultaneously. And this is cool for our example. We're like, oh, that's too much pitch. Well, so you can adjust all on one. And David, well, why would we use this rather than a pitch bend?
What do you mean? Why?
Okay.
Oh, you mean the pitch?
Yeah. I'm just being devil's advocate. So why wouldn't I just do pitch, David? Why would I go through all this trouble?
Well, I mean, it just gives you a completely different expression and dynamic in the sound, because you can set this to be almost any parameter on the whole synth. So let's say if I have I like to do my favorites. Well, one of my favorite types of solo sounds is not guitar, but it's the same type of sound. It's what would replace a guitar. Like if you would try to play that role. I'm not trying to make it a guitar, but like just a synth version of that, which would be like a distorted synth lead. Yeah. And then make it monophonic with some portamento, and then like when I just push the modulation wheel up, it just goes like the filter goes up and it goes through the distortion, so it becomes almost the same, like a kind of like a wah-wah pedal.
So here's a good one. So I just chose the Wizard. I think it's called Wizard lead. So yeah. That's just a nice general one.
That one does something like that, I think.
Yeah. So we go into the tone edit here. You can already see system control 1. Look at that. There's already a pitch LFO. And then we got the LFO rate also going. And since we have that destination 3, why don't we go ahead and pop it open and let's adjust some cutoff. Why not, you know? And adjust it, just kind of have some fun with it. And you know what? Let's hear it. Well, let's hear it without this cutoff first. Let's put that at 0. Real quick. So here it is. Let me just, and I could take these guys and not use them, but look at this. Now let's do cutoff and have it really open up the cutoff. And then, David, if I wanted to put that in the keys, that's possible, right? I could put it.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like the way you do it, and like right now we have it set to the modulation wheel, but I think we can also, just so everybody knows, you could have that react to you in the keys. This is something cool I've seen David do, and just I just want to bring it out to you guys so you can see the performance. So if I don't want to use the system controller to the mod wheel, you could do it in Aftertouch. Because Aftertouch if you want.
Oh yeah, you can choose. Yeah, exactly. So you can choose Aftertouch and do the same with Aftertouch. So where it says Sys Control 1 now, you can just browse there, and you can find a different sources. So you can make it the pitch wheel, or Aftertouch, as you can see, or you can even make it different controller numbers, things like that.
Yeah, and you guys can even hear just that little bit. So I hit the initial note and put the Aftertouch. And we can make it more sensitive. And I'm just going and doing a little bit of adjustments. And this is all to taste. Everybody might have a little bit of flavor. Oh, there you go. This is like some in some David Ahlund kind of stuff where he's just and then you're like, what? You're like, what?
Yes. What? That's exactly my taste. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I want you guys to kind of get a vibe of this, and kind of this could be homework, synth homework for all you Fantom guys, and even some of the other guys. Any Roland that has a matrix controller function, start playing with this, because this is real. Wait, is doing a whole bunch of stuff. What is this? And I can adjust that. LFO rate might be too much. So kind of have fun. And then don't forget, if you wanted to save it, you would have to go into Write and save that particular tone. So I wanted to really kind of bring that up to you guys while I have David on here, because I think it is the coolest, the matrix control on here. Just shout out to David, because that's the coolest.
Yeah, so it's like every and because you have 4 different partials and you can set 4 different parameters, so then you can say, even on one of those kind of assignment lines, you can just go, okay, so when I turn the mod wheel up, the filter of partial 1 is going to go up, the pitch of partial 2 is going to go down, the distortion of partial 3 is going to go up, and so you can have 4 different parameters on one of those lines.
Yeah.
For all 4 partials, and then you have a load of those different lines. So you can, like I said, there's just a crazy amount of control that you can have in one single sound thanks to the matrix control.
Yeah. So like having David on here is great, but then like once David gets his video set, this could be a whole thing. Kind of a crime scene investigation of how David kind of does this, because it is really something to watch live, and just go to look up Vtopia on YouTube, and you can see it. And when you watch David do some of his stuff, you're like, how is he? He's not even touching the pitch or the mod wheel. How is he doing this? And then you start to realize, oh, it's through this matrix control. So if you spend more time with it, you're gonna find some cool stuff on it. So
that's actually another factor as well. I thought of that when you said he's not even touching the mod wheel, which is. Velocity is actually one of my favorite parameters.
Yes.
So I like to use velocity for all kinds of stuff. So obviously the normal average thing for velocity to do is just to make it louder, right? But if you assign it to the filter or some completely different parameter, you can route that also in the matrix control. So you can assign velocity to all kinds of things and make the sound really even way more dynamic that way.
Yeah, man, it's so awesome. That's so awesome. Let's digress a little bit, because this for me could be, and I know for some of you out there, and we'll do some more of this, can really, once David, we get him set up where we can see his screen. I was like, hey David, show me how you do this pads thing, how you do that, and then how you do this with velocity. It could be a whole like episode of just the matrix stuff, and we're going to revisit it some more. Now that I hope that now that all of you got like a little taste of it, and you're kind of rewind this portion of the episode and kind of start playing with it. It's really, really cool. Let's see, Matronics. Let's go back a little bit. Matronics wants to know, David, what was your first Roland gear? Your first Roland gear?
Oh, good question. It was either the MT32 or the MC303. I had, yeah, I think it was, oh man, I don't remember which, I think it was the MC303.
Oh, so like
Which I got.
a groove box, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was my first Roland product, not my first keyboard or product, but my first Roland one. Before that, I had like an arranger keyboard and a really old analog synth, and then I got the MC303, which got me into like properly kind of do sequencing and step sequencing and like all this cool. Ed, do you know Tracker software?
Yeah, that's Native Instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking like way back in the day, like the tracker, like Pro Tracker and Fast Tracker, and all these different trackers.
These are the early DAWs.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah.
The early DAWs. Yeah,
so that was like, so that's the way I made music before I had any proper gear. So I had my Atari computer. Woo! I had an Atari. Actually, I still have it back in Sweden in the basement somewhere. Like Atari STE, Atari 1040 STE. That's it. And I was using this tracker on it, not Pro Tracker. It was like there's actually a Swedish. I think it's Swedish. Yeah, there's a tracker called Octalyzer, which is the only tracker from those days that could use 8 channels rather than 4. But it did it in half the sound quality. So it was like it was something weird, like 25 kilohertz. But if you wanted 8 channels, you got it in 12.5 kilohertz.
Wow.
So it's anyway, so I was used to that kind of matrix type sequencing. So it's like a little column, like a table that just goes up and down. And so that was kind of like step sequencing. It's just laid out like a spreadsheet rather than than a TR recorder.
Oh, that's now. Did you save up for that, or was that a present from family or anything, or how did you acquire that gear?
So you mean the MC that I got?
Yeah, the MC.
Yeah, that was like the best birthday of my life, and my dad gave it to me when I turned 17.
Wow, so that's awesome.
I had no idea I was gonna get it. I was pestering him for a long time because I was like, so Roland had this magazine back in those days that was called Roland Inside, which was a free subscription because basically it was like a product, like a product news type deal.
Yep. Love it.
And I saw it in there. I'm like, oh my god, because I was super into acid house and stuff even when I was like a kid, like 14. And so I knew what a TB303 was.
Yep.
I knew what a TR909 was. And I'm like, oh my god, they're making a machine that has all of these sounds in them. That's like the dream machine to me. And I was like, Dad, give me an MC303. And I was just pestering him. I was serious, but I was kind of like, definitely.
Yeah.
It's like you go to your dad and say, Dad, I want a Ferrari. Like, of course you want it, but you're not expecting it. That's what that was like to me. But I did get it, and that was like the most amazing gift I've ever gotten. I think it was like the best day of my life.
Wow.
So I was so excited, and I skipped school so badly. I was just at home playing with that thing for hours, and then it kind of took off from there. Really,
your dad's probably like, I didn't know you were going to skip school by getting.
yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome when you get a gift like that, especially at a young age. You're like, oh my god, really? That's incredible. As far as me, my first Roland gear I ever I didn't get. My father actually bought a JX3P with the programmer.
Oh,
that was our first one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything, and I learned to play keyboards from playing trumpet. So I was in 6th grade, and whatever I learned on trumpet, even though it's keyed in the key of B flat, I would play it on the keyboard, even though it's in C. And so over there, and I wasn't allowed to touch the keyboard. But of course, you dads go to work and they leave you alone with the gear, and so I learned how to sequence on that. It was a step sequencer too. I believe it was just a one track step sequencer. I think it was like maybe like a 16 step. It was something crazy. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
And as far as using the program, I had no idea what any of those knobs and buttons did, and all that stuff. But I did find the cutoff and the resonance, because those made a lot of noise immediately when you messed with them. And I learned how to make a Star Wars laser sound, and then also dropping bombs, all that kind of stuff. And by the time I did get busted, because fathers always tend to come home from work early. One day they just happened to come home from work early. I knew enough to where my father didn't kill me. And then also by the time he did come home early, I was already playing along with Santana concerts. So I was trying to mimic Santana, because that's who I was into at 5th or 6th grade. And but now, years later, I guess it's my penance for doing that. My dad, I am 24/7 tech support for my father on his keyboards. So even though there might be videos that I've created, and I'm like, hey, Dad, here's the video link. My father currently owns a VR09 and the Juno DS, and even though there's video on, I've created content that he can use. He's like, no, I want you to show me. And so it's like, oh. So that's my penance.
Did you say you were not allowed to touch the synthesizer back then?
I wasn't allowed
and now it's...
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to touch the synths. And the cool thing...
It's a perfect time for revenge. I wasn't allowed to touch it.
I wasn't allowed to touch it, Dad. So what's the difference now? So... but I found out years later that he would sit outside for about 10 to 15 minutes and listen to me play along with Santana. Of course, at a loud volume. The keyboards are loud, the Santanas are loud, so it's like stage level volume. And because that's how we play. And before he would come in and break it up. But and I would play all through the night with the headphones on, clickety, clickety, clickety. Probably like a lot of us, with your families, like, will you stop? And you're just like, just going. So that was my first Roland. But the first one that I actually bought for myself was the XP50, which my mom bought it for me when I was in college. I begged and I got it. And then I did a gig immediately that night, and I didn't know how to access the sounds, David. I was like, I didn't know how to access the sounds because I didn't read any manuals. I didn't understand it, but all I know, it sounded really cool. And then somebody played for me the World Expansion Board, the kabuki drum, and the guy at the end, it goes clunk, 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 and he goes, what? I never heard that before, and I was sold. And then I called my sales guy, who's still my friend to this day. I said, how do I get into the sounds of the XP? He said, press patch. Okay, cool, bye. And I did the gig. So that was it from there. I'm like, I can't access these sounds. How do you do this? And because all keyboards, at least, especially when they're brand new, take a little time and learn them. Take a little time. So that's my first experience with that. Let's see here. Yes, somebody agreed. Yes, Tone Blender was the best, but you kind of get the same kind of vibe as David demonstrated with the Matrix kind of thing. Let's see here. I'm just looking. Let's see. You're welcome, Douglas. We're glad to answer some questions. Like I said, yeah, brass choices. There's so many brass, more than any since I can remember. Absolutely. And the great, like, I know personally, I like to mix different brass sounds in there with synth sounds or whatever in there. Okay, here's a good question from Evan Turner. I'll let you answer this one, David. He asks, will getting the Jupiter X be worth it, considering I have the Phantom? And I already see some people already answered.
Yeah, I mean, that again, I guess that's a little bit about matter of taste, I would say, because it does have some things. Obviously, like the root sound engine is the same, but it does have the model banks and all that stuff with the different emulations of the retro synths. So that's probably the main difference. That's the main selling point to actually getting one if you already have a Phantom. But yeah, so it depends on how much you're into those. Basically, that's what it boils down to, I would say. And yes, the Jupiter also has the iArpeggio, which is really cool. But I wouldn't buy an entire synth for feature, but it is really cool though. But yeah, I would say like if you really feel you need all those different emulations, then go for the Jupiter as well, because they are really good, and it's really cool to have those, like, yeah, you have the Jupiter 8 and Juno 106 and JX 8P and so on, but you also have the XV 5080, which is kind of crazy because you get all the XV 5080 presets in it as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like something you wouldn't have expected, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just all personal preference, like David said. It's all personal preference. And if you're into the vintage kind of sound with the Jupiters and the other vintage synth models he mentioned, then that might be the way to go. Also, both the Fantom and the Jupiter X interact audio and MIDI with recording into a computer. Very, very, both of them. So just really kind of look and see which one captures you. If for a lot of us, having a Fantom and a Jupiter X is just a killer rig. Tons of options. So it just depends on you. Just really kind of look into yourself and see what you want to use. Let's see. Yeah, Douglas, yeah, he says, when I demoed the FA06, the small keys were a bit of an adjustment from most I've tried. Let me answer this, and David can chime in. Small keys versus regular size keys versus piano keys. Like let's say JDXI, for example, or Jupiter XM. I'm the kind of player that the keys really don't matter that much to me because I just need to play, right? I just need to play. I'm not a classically trained pianist, and so as long as there's keys on there, I'm gonna play it, and it's just, that's all it is to me, And also my hand, I only have an octave reach, so it doesn't bother me. It's just a slight, like, okay, cool. It's like I just play on it for the first time, and then it's like an instant, okay, with this keyboard, this is how much pressure I need to put in my hands and all this. But it's nothing that I'm like, oh gosh, I need to really adjust my playing. I just kind of play. What do you think, David, when we're talking about sizes of keys, mini versus full versus other?
It's funny because that's something I haven't thought of consciously that much until very recently, until I started noticing, like when the new Fantom came out, and they're like, we learned that this is a whole new key bed and so on, and I'm feeling it. I'm like, and I'm comparing them head to head with other keyboards, and I'm like, wow, this is a massive difference. But similarly to you, I've always been like, well, it has a keyboard on it, and I'll play it. Like, I haven't really cared that much. I'm more picky when it comes to weighted keys. Like, if I'm gonna play a piano, then the type of keys on the piano, like even if it's digital, but like the type of weighted keys, I'm more sensitive to what type of weighted keys is there, because I think that's probably largely because I'm not really like a pianist. I consider myself more of a keyboard player. Like, I love playing piano, but I'm not one of those guys that can like rip off a like massive jazz solo on an acoustic piano. Like, that's just not what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So the piano keys matter a lot to me. For me, it decides a lot for me whether I will play comfortably or not.
Yeah.
As far as normal keyboard keys go, I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. It doesn't really matter that much, but I can definitely feel and enjoy the difference if I have the Fantom 6 or 7, for instance, compared to something simpler, really.
And let me interject this. When I see our colleague, say like a Scott Tibbs, who is just a monster. He is a monster.
Absolutely.
Player, he's a player's player. He's a nut on a personal level. He's a great dude. But when I see someone like that, he can rip on a V piano, on a Fantom, on a JDXI, on a JDXA, on the mini keys of the boutique mini keys. It's just like, when I watch someone like that, and his brain is just like, okay, and he just rips on anything. And then I watch someone at a Jordan Rudess type of level, Jordan Rudess, and I see Jordan do the same thing. be it 88, synth actions, whatever actions, even the iPad, with even moving his fingers on the it's no difference. So I figure, you know what? I'm not at the level of those monsters, and they're not bothered, so I'm not bothered. I just play. Just play, because those guys are both monsters, and I love them both. But, yeah, they're not bothered, so I'm not bothered. Just do it. Just do it, bottom line.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Rob's Tech, Rob TCS1, having similar problems getting MIDI set up correctly in Logic as you tried it working in the video. As you tried to get it working yesterday. Please, could you try to get that working? We did get it working at the end of the episode yesterday. We'll see if we can find that in there. We did get it working with recording in there. Let me answer some more questions, and maybe we can do that. Let's see here. Robin says to get both keyboards. Absolutely. Baharam Shamlu says, hi, Ed. Hi, how are you? Look at you guys. Man, I just love all this. Look, I see Nailed It. You guys are talking to each other. That's good. Matrix, Robin saying nice stuff to Micronics. That's cool. Look, talking to Scott. Oh, okay. Robin just goes to David Ahlund and says, at David Ahlund, would love to do a live electronic show with just the boutiques, with just the boutique modules. That would be fun. So he would love you to do a completely electronics with just the boutique modules. Haven't you done that? I think
interesting challenge.
Haven't you done that? I think I swear I've seen you at NAMM on one of the years when we had the Era kind of DJ little mini room. Maybe you were. I'm trying to think.
I've done like demos of not just boutiques maybe, but I've basically had like a quite long boutique kind of segment in the demo with several boutiques. Yeah, and that's a fun challenge. I'm thinking of it now. Like, what would I use? I mean, definitely the TR09. Unfortunately, not in production anymore. But that one would be because it's got that really punchy sound. And I mean, yeah, the TR08 obviously as well is really good. It's a whole different style. So that would be like a good thing. Definitely the SCO2. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe a JU06A something. So like SCO2 for bass, JU06A for lead, and TR08 or TR09 for the drums. That'd be a nifty little setup, I think.
Yeah, that's cool, Robin. You put it in his brain. So now it's gonna bother David. He's like, what am I gonna use? What can I use? So that's gonna be cool. Tom Rollins asks, cool, thanks. He says, I run a 90s band, so I use a K. He uses a Korg M1 VST for a few patches. So it's purely for VSTs rather than tracks. Got the Phantom pattern mode for that. Yeah, and you can actually go ahead and route that Korg M1 VST using MainStage and route it through a particular zone in the Phantom if it's set in external, that particular zone. So you can actually control the volume on and off. And then if you wanted to go further, you can use the keyboard switch groups to turn on that VST and internal sounds together or separately. So the keyboard switch groups, we have a video on that. Keyboard switch groups is amazing. I think it was first introduced for us in the FAs, and I love it. It's incredible.
I'm thinking of those are like the contending old school pianos. It's like the Korg M1 piano versus the JD 800 pianos.
Ooh, good fight.
That's like the So that's like, because that whole era, like the 90s, those were like the two main pianos, isn't it? Like from if you're talking like early 90s, especially.
Well, who wasn't Madonna using a lot of the Roland kind of pianos for all that kind of club kind of the club music? I think. Anyway, those are both great pianos. Just find them and have fun with them. Those are. And you know what? Speaking.
Oh, by the way, can I?
Ahead. Yeah. Right. Go ahead, David. Go ahead.
No. Tim H here says, I think this was a fun question in a way. Does anybody know if the JD 800 drum kit is in the Phantom? It's that Genesis I Can't Dance sound. And actually, I don't know I barely knew the JD800 had drums, if I'm honest. I don't think that same kit is there. But do you know, Ed?
I don't. I haven't looked. And the thing is as you know, David, is when we're looking at all these sounds, the drum kit, there's over 8,000 sounds when you add all those 15 free expansion boards in here. So if I was to go to single tone play, I don't know offhand, but if I were to look inside the drum kit, I think it would be possible to possibly find it inside one of the expansion boards, because I see all these TR and CR, these OCR drum kits and all that stuff. You might have to go through there and kind of have.
Yeah, there is no JD800 because I just browsed through all of them, but
Yeah.
there's one called 90s kit. Maybe that's it.
and then yeah, and then just so
but then you might, regardless.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, regardless, you might have the samples from the JD800 drum kit, though.
Well, if you
they might be in there.
If you check out one of the early episodes, we were talking about on the early episodes, and maybe Scott can find it. We were talking about how to program the drums of the Fantom and program like drum kit program, so we can take the different instruments. And one thing we realized during that episode was that when you programming drums in the Fantom, each note, each key is a note, and you can pull waveforms that create that particular drum instrument from any expansion board that's installed in the Fantom. So you can mix and match Zencore with any of the expansion boards in there, which it just really opens up like a whoosh, what?
Actually, yes. Sorry.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
No, I've done quite a bit of drum kit programming on the Fantom, and yes, there's loads of stuff you can do there. So you can layer up to 4 sounds, actually 8 if you use left and right on one key. And then what I was experimenting when I was doing that lo-fi kit that I was talking about, the expansion, one thing I really like is you know those kind of snare / rim / clap sounds that are like a bit like layered, and it's like one after another, like that, to be very obvious. It's like click. Those you can make sounds like that because there's a delay setting on each partial or each tone. So if you, let's say you put like a snare together with a rim shot,
I'll find one.
You could put the rim shot to be triggered like after the snare, and so on. So you can have like 4 sounds that trigger slightly off from each other when you hit one key, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of intricate settings in the drum kit, which is really useful, I think.
Yeah, and I just pulled it up, David, on there. Let me find it in here. Let's see. I know exactly where you're talking about, I think. Let me see here.
Oh yeah, I think I was a little jab. I got a little jab there. It's a flam. Like, okay. Tortog pone.
Yeah,
exactly, a flam.
Get it right. So yeah, you can actually go into
that would have been a way easier way to put it. Although a flam is usually with the same sound, but I'm talking about like you get the flam effect, but with 2 different sounds apart from each other.
Yeah, so you can actually go into here, and I'm trying to find it real quick because my brain isn't in the drum program right now. Here we go. It's right here, and all I did real quick for everybody is I just chose a drum kit real quick, and I went into menu, tone edit, and it says instrumental. I think this is right, David? Instrumental W wave MT. I forgot what that means right now.
Yeah.
So notice it changes according to what I'm doing, and we move this. Okay, so I can make it adjust the wave time, so I can make it depending on when I strike the key. Let me turn these other guys off so we can hear. We can adjust when you're going to hear the sound from when I hit the key. So it's pretty cool. You can actually go in there and adjust. Let me see, where are you? So this is where instrument wave. Yeah, there it is. Look, here it is. So I'll hit it. Wait. Where is it? Where are you?
It's like 2 hours later. Ding.
Yeah, there it comes. There it comes. Let's see. I think this one's set on light velocity. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I really love that function, especially for, like I said, like when because it's very obviously a typical thing to do is like layer a snare with a clap or with a rim or both or stuff like that. For that kind of stuff, this is a great little feature to have, I think.
Yeah.
And it really gives that give that extra kind of crunch to the drums.
Hey, so Douglas Carmichael asked, and we're trying to catch up. Man, you guys are asking a lot. I don't even know how you guys are asking so many questions. Let's see. Douglas asks, it's interesting that the Fantom has CV Gate I/O. Do you see a lot of mainstream players using it? I don't in what I'm at. What about you, David, in Europe? The CV Gate.
I don't really know many mainstream players using that. I consider that to me that's more of a like a fiddle around at home with your modulars type situation.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's a few that use that stuff live, but I don't think it's the most common thing for like session players or touring musicians generally. But it is a cool feature to have, definitely.
Yeah.
And
well, let me just say this. And Douglas says he doesn't see many mainstream players use this. Well, the thing about mainstream players, a lot of them are gun for hire, and an artist does not have time for you to fiddle with sounds. An artist, David, I need you to pull up this sound. Go. And it needs to be the exact sound immediately. So if the keyboardist or MD or whoever's working on the keys needs to have complete, quick access to those sounds, and so. Unless you're in a particular group like Radiohead or some other ones that you can kind of tweaking the sounds live as a part of the gig, I think most keyboard guys, players have to like, I need that sound, I need it now, I need it access, and it needs to sound exactly the same every time we perform. So maybe that's kind of thing, and like David just said, for guys kind of experimenting at home or tweaking at home, it might be a cool thing. Let's see here. Congrats on... Machi Wu Mia Poo for adding the V-Synth to his arsenal, and he also loves the SEO2. Agrees with David. I'm kind of skipping over here a little bit. I see, trying to catch up. My guy that's having issue with FL Studio, I think maybe Scott helped him out. But make sure you download the correct drivers, and we do have videos on Roland Product Support on YouTube on how to download and install the correct drivers. The Fantom, as far as I know, and as far as I've tested, I'm sure David and Scott and all the other guys will agree, will work as an audio MIDI interface with any DAW. You just have to go into that DAW and set up the preferences and tell it the Fantom's going to be the audio in or the audio out. Or sometimes when we have to combine audio interfaces, we have to create what's called an aggregate device, which is basically taking all of your audio interfaces in your MacBook, for example, and creating a custom device. So the MacBook just sees it as one giant device, even though it's made up of different audio MIDI audio interfaces. So that's just a little programming on there. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. And I see more guys doing so much. Matrix control, cool. They like that. I love matrix control, and I'm going to dig into it more now that I kind of talked to David a little bit about it. It's like, oh no, this is cool.
To me, that's like that center, like that's the main thing I use when I do live performances.
Yeah.
When I'm on stage, like that's my key thing. I always go to, like, the first thing I go, if I use a preset that I like. I always customize presets if I use them. I generally program my sounds from scratch, but sometimes, that typical thing where you find a preset you like, but you tweak it a little bit to fit your needs. And that's like the first thing I dig into is like the matrix control, and just so I can actually control the sound the way I want it.
Cool. And I see, hello to Lord Tunes Piano Reviewer. He said, let me see here. Tim H says he still regrets selling his Atari Falcon 030. I don't even know.
Oh, the Falcon. Yeah.
Oh, look at that, David. You got some respect from David. What?
Yeah, I remember the Falcon. That's like the mystery computer that came out. I think it was just after the kind of ST and STE series. Then there was like this like level up Atari that was called the Falcon, and I don't think it was around for very long, and not many people were using it. So it's
Oh yeah.
considered like a bit of a rarity.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know much about the Falcon, but I just remember the name, and I read Atari magazines as well. And then I remember like there was like Falcon news, like Falcon is here, So
Water break for both of us. Hold on. Or that could be gin for David. We don't know. It could be that 808. No, what was it? Was it Scotch or whiskey? Whatever it was.
No, yeah. This is the 808 is whiskey, so you would see that it's not transparent at all.
Yeah, you would see it. So okay, let's see. One of the guys just asked. Lord Toon says, "Why does the Jupiter X not have an analog filter, but the Roland Fantom has?" I'm not sure on that one. Why? Maybe it has something to do with the modeling engines. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
To be honest,
I'm not sure. I know, and David can also. When Roland's coming up with new keyboards, they'll get different synth guys, be it guys that are product specialists from all over the world, and they'll get them together in a small group, and then basically they're saying, here's the type of instrument we want to create, okay? And so everybody, throws up their ideas, trying to keep in the same vein, a similar vein of, this is what I want, and then it's basically what is it, David? It was kind of like, you start going through. It's like, well, if we put this, we can't do this. We do this, we can do this. Ed, is that a function that Ed wants, or is that a function that could actually help the U.S.? So you start like learning real fast. And so I'm not sure. I wasn't involved. Yeah. I wasn't involved in that. But as you guys know, there's a lot of ways to get analog filter out. Buy one separately if you wanted to get that going. I'm not sure why that decision was made, but I know the Jupiter X has some great modeling filters in there too. I'm not going to say they're better than the analog because I'm not going to get into that fight, but now I feel a lot of our modeling and our virtual synth, especially as we keep evolving, the resolution that our digital stuff is going to, you're not going to hear stepping like you did in the old 80s synths, because everybody still remembers, I could tell that's digital. I can hear the stepping. And I don't think that's the case anymore. What do you think, David? I just really don't.
No. I was just about to say that actually, because the Zencore sound engine has very, very has very high resolution parameters. So it's I think it's 1,024 steps in, let's say, the filter or the envelope, whatever parameters you're working with, you have 1,024 steps. So you get very, very smooth changes in sounds with the filters and so on. So and then like Ed said, there are different modeled filters that you can choose from, so you can get different filter characters as well.
Yeah.
So personally, to my taste, I don't really need an analog filter because I think the Zencore filters sound amazing already. That being said, of course, it's a nice bonus to have, but yeah, it's like a separate thing from, because the analog filter in the Fantom is not part of the general patch structure, is it?
No.
I mean, it's a separate kind of unit that you assign to where you want it. So you can put it on the whole master if you want.
Yeah.
Or on just the patch, or and so on. So it's like a separate kind of effect almost, in a way.
Absolutely. So I'm going to skip through some of this because, my God, we're already approaching 2 hours. And I just, that's one thing I do love also about this, because I know everybody's locked up at home and being safe and social distancing. So it's really nice to get and talk to you guys, and especially get our brother David Ahlund from the UK, that part of from Europe, to talk some more, because we don't get to really sit down and talk synth nerd talk. And so it's kind of fun to kind of do that.
And
Go ahead, David.
And like I said, I'm really happy to be on your stream as well, because we never done this before together. And I see you guys like having a laugh almost every day now, right? You and Scott, and sometimes Mark Watson, and like I'm like, my synth brothers, I wanna be there. I feel I'm missing out, So it's really cool to be finally joining you as well. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll figure out how to get you and Scott and Mark Watson. Oh, look out! We'll get Mark Watson on there too. So that'll be fun. Let me see. I'm scanning through anything. Well, Marktronic said, sad day. The TR-09 is not being produced anymore. Maybe I should get one for nostalgia. The thing about the boutique synthesizers, those, I think we marketed those as like, those are boutiques for a reason. They're not supposed to have a long life cycle. And so when you see a boutique, and if it's something you're really interested in, you should grab it. You should totally grab it.
I mean, it's funny because when the first boutique series were made, that was supposed to be it was a limited edition, but we had to make. I say we. It's not like I'm part of the manufacturing process.
Well, it's we. Part of the Roland Fantom.
Yeah, but we had to make they were so ridiculously much more popular than we expected, so they had to make another batch, and then that wasn't planned, and that batch vanished as quickly as it came. And, so that was it. And it was like twice as much, or I don't know how many exactly, but twice the amount they expected. And it still wasn't enough. They just kept going. And people are still, like the JU-06, people were asking for that. Constantly, everyone, long after they stopped producing it. But then, and that's why, as you know, we made the JU-06A, which is the sequel to the JU-06. But that's the one of those first three that everyone was asking for all the time, everywhere, constantly.
Well, this is cool. Okay, we're coming near the end. I see Dimapic Studio has a sad, did not answer my question, been here early. And everybody's saying, what's your question? So, what's your question? Because we've been on here for 2 hours, and obviously, and I think a lot of you understand, we're missing some questions, we're missing some comments, but it's not out of spite. I'm literally, and I see David doing the same thing, we're literally scanning through here trying to acknowledge everybody, which I love it, and I know Scott Barry's on here answering questions and fielding stuff too. So if we missed you, go ahead and ask something if you right now, I'm not. It's right now. I think in the UK, David. What is it? Is it 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock?
It's 10 now.
10 at night there. So we've taken much of David's evening. So just repost it if you have. I'll give you a couple minutes here. But let's see. There are, let me say this. I see XP50 player posted. Fantom also does not have the JD Multi Block A effect from the XV5080. Okay, Fantom has a ton of things, but Fantom does not have everything. I think that's one.
Sorry, what was the thing he was missing? Or she?
XP50 player does not have the JD Multi Block A effect from the XV5080. I'm not even sure. Okay. Yeah, it gets to a point like these keyboards. This and like that's why I was saying earlier when someone asked, we couldn't do a single session on the Fantom teaching it because it is such a huge. It's a huge thing to try and take in one session. And I know, David, all of us guys that train, we can literally, when we're training somebody on this in a class or a group session, and not this many questions, by the way, I can actually see when their brain closes. I can see the glass go over their eyes. They're like, okay, that's too much. That's too much. So, yeah, because like I said before, we could do a session just on the drum kits, which we kind of already did. David could do a session just on matrix control and blow your mind, and then you'll get some of the concept, but then some of it has to marinate a little bit, So like the next, after we're done here, I'm gonna probably dig into my Fantom and like, what did David mean by this? And whoa, did you know? And so a lot of it has to marinate in your brain and like, oh, this is kind of cool. Diamond Pick Studio, Scott says you can send the question to him so he can kind of help you. That's cool. Shout out to Michawu, Michawu, Miapu. That's so funny.
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. Sam. Yeah, Sam. I've met Sam. Sam's
Sam.
Great people. And actually, he does go to Japan. He used to go to Japan quite a bit with his lovely family. Yeah, shout out to David Ahlund. Absolutely. What is it? Please ask Roland to buy him a YouTube studio setup and join the show. Yeah, Roland. No. Roland UK. No. Jamie, get David hooked up, Jamie.
Yes, Sam. We'll I think we'll hook it up, Sam. I think that's pretty much happening. So, cheers.
Yeah. Scott just said David no dots Ahlund, massive on the inside. I don't even know.
What a massive inside.
Okay, that must be like some. That's some like them kind of their little thing. So okay. So all right. Hey, so we're gonna close the show out once again. I'm gonna take a huge shout out to all of you guys and gals out there for asking questions, answering questions, interacting. Shout out to our brother Scott Berry for being on here and helping out with the chat. We're always here for you,
Scott.
Shout out to our brother David Ahlund here. Is Mark Watson here? Oh, Marktronics, yeah.
No, I meant Marktronics, yeah.
Yeah, Marktronics, not Mark Watson. No, I'm just joking. Mark Watson's going to be like, yo, what's up, mate? So shout out to David Ahlund for joining us today. We're going to have him on in the future, hopefully get some more cool, fun stuff and get some more of our Roland brothers and sisters on here. Once again, in closing, make sure you guys wash your hands, cover your face. Don't hoard the food. Don't hoard the toilet paper. Be nice to one another, and then also take care of all of the elderly out there. And sometimes that means by just leaving them food and leaving them alone. Talk to them on their phone. Talk to them through FaceTime, through the window and stuff like that. But just keep that in mind. Also, shout out to all of our medical professionals out there that are in the front lines fighting. Shout out to all the truck drivers that are delivering food and essential supplies to all of us all over the world, and all the people doing shipping, our people that are working in the grocery stores, our people that are delivering. So thank you all on there. So love all you guys. Love my brother David. Love all my keyboard brothers, Synth, Scott, everybody, Mark Watson. You guys take care, and we will talk to you later. All right. Take care, my brothers. We'll talk to you. Bye.
Take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.